O Great Spirit, saints and sages of all times, of all places, most beloved Lord of life, in all of thy names, in all of thy forms, O ye powers that be, come forth, bless us with thy presence, bless us with thy goodness, most beloved and precious Lord divine, most beloved infinite Lord of stillness, fill us with thy presence. Sweep clear our paths, that we might be nourished and vivified and strengthened in our time together. May this meditative time lift us and fill us and give us the energy and strength and wisdom that we need as we walk through these coming breaths. Turning inward, focus your attention at the sun center, the point between your eyes. Performing the resurrection breath, turn your head to the left and exhale twice. And bring it back to the center. And now begin to watch your breath. And take a long inhalation through the nostrils and exhale the sound of Om, chanting the Om and letting it fill every cell of your body. No stress, no strain. Om. Again. Om. And yet again. Om. And now just breathe, inhaling and exhaling through the nostrils. Namaste and welcome. Welcome to our Sunday meditation, our sangha, and welcome to my heart. Once upon a yogi time, in the ever-present now, upon the planet Earth, there was a place, a mass of land upon the planet Earth that many, 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 many people had gathered. First a few, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, then millions, until the land was filled with 1 billion people. And the rulers thought, oh, we have to do something here. We must do something. What should we do? Not so many people. We're having short resources, not so many people. So we'll limit who can come in, and we'll limit who can be born here. And so they did. They set up a law that said 1 per person, 1 per family, 1 child per family. Now, in this land, boys were preferred. The boy children were preferred. And so many efforts were made by mothers and fathers to make sure that they had boy children. And those boys were cherished. Oh, loved and cherished. They were given everything. Every whim that they had was fulfilled. Now, there was one mother who was particularly enamored of her son, and her name was Joanna. She loved her son. She loved her son, Mikhail. When he was born, she fed him. He cried, she took care of him. He was 5 years old, she fed him. He cried, she did whatever he wanted. He was 10 years old, she fed him. He was 11, she fed him. He was 15, she fed him. He was 25, she fed him. He cried, and she did whatever he asked. She fed him. She didn't feed herself. She didn't take care of herself. She fed this child, Mikhail, who she loved so much. He was the best of all of the children in the whole country, the whole land. What happened? Mikhail was 30, and mother was still feeding him. Joanna was still feeding him. Now, I don't mean that she took the food and put it on a plate. I mean that she took the spoon and gave it to him. Every meal, every bite he ate. So he had nothing to do except become involved in the whims of his mind. In fact, he didn't know how to hold a fork. He didn't know how to hold a spoon. He didn't know how to hold any implements to get the food from the plate to his mouth. He could grasp barely with the fingers if he needed to. His muscles kind of became very flaccid. No strength. And well, he couldn't get up. He couldn't get up out of that chair. Mom lifted him up. Now, when he was a baby, he was in a carriage. Those carriages got bigger and bigger and bigger until they became rolling chairs. Everywhere he wanted to go, Mikhail would ask Joanna, and she would take him. Now, you know the story, right? You must be thinking to yourself, well, what kind of mother is that? What kind of mother is that? She's feeding him without stopping. She's, giving into every whim that he has. He's living his life exactly as Mama would like. In the way of things, in time, he wanted to get married. But there weren't any girls to marry, so he couldn't get married. Only boys in the land, no girls. Or very few girls, we shall say. And the parents, Joanna and all the others, they got older and older and older and older. Ah, too bad. Too bad. One day, a little yogi comes into town. And Joanna waves at him. Come, come, come. You're welcome to come into my house. Mikhail would like to meet you. You're welcome to come in. And so he does. The little yogi comes in. Now he sees there's a problem. Mikhail has gotten very large. And Mikhail has no skills. He's 30 years old. No, he hasn't learned to read. He hasn't learned to write. He hasn't learned to stand on his own 2 feet. And so the little yogi looks at Mama and says, look what you've done to your son. And she says, I know, isn't it wonderful? I'm such a great mother. I've given him everything he could possibly want. I've given him. I've fed him. I've given him anything his heart desires. I have worked and I have gotten for him. Yes, you have crippled him. You've taken over his life. You've crippled him. This is not so good. And she was shocked. She was shocked. What do you mean, sir? You forgot to give him. You forgot to give him the greatest skill of all. You forgot to help him to stand on his own 2 feet, Joanna. And what happens when you're not here to feed him? He's going to die. No more. You leave, he leaves. You've crippled him. Oh, that was a hard one for her to swallow. She was very upset, you can see. Mikhail was listening very carefully. He was listening very carefully. And he looked up and he said, Mom, I love you. But you have to help me. Now, you really have to help me to learn what I should have learned a long time ago. To learn what I should have learned when I was little. To learn to do all the things that you know how to do, that you should have taught me, and you didn't. What happened? We shall see. And they began. With the help of the little yogi, they began. And they began by teaching Mikhail to take care of himself. They began by teaching him to clean himself, to lift himself up out of the chair. They began by teaching him to walk with help, until one day he could stand on his own 2 feet without assistance. They began to teach him the great mystery of the hand and the mouth. The hand must work. The hand must work. But in the working, the hand must feed the mouth so that the mouth has the right amount of food and that the body can live. The little yogi was very nice, and he agreed to stay and help Mikhail. And he began to help all the other young people in the land to correct the imbalance, in their lives. And what happened? Well, things were going swimmingly, just swimmingly, because everyone's filled with enthusiasm at first. But then it's hard, right? Yeah, you're used to mama feeding you. What do you mean? I have to get up. I have to find the food myself. I have to go to work. I have to learn. I have to study. This is effort filled. Hi, maybe I should just sit back and let mama do it. But Joanna had learned, no, 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 no. I must help you to help yourself. I must help you to help yourself. And in her prayers and in her meditation, she realized what great harm she had brought to her son. She had stolen his life. She had stolen his ability to choose that which he wished to do for his life. She thought she knew best for him. She thought she knew the right thing for him. And thus, she had taken all those years of learning and letting him make the mistakes and the choices and find the joys of his life. Everything went swimmingly. Everything went swimmingly, just like it does when you begin to meditate, just like it does when you first plant the seeds. And then it got hard. The sun was out one day. The next day it was cold. It was rainy. In the mind, it was sunny one day. In the mind, it was rainy and cold the next. And Mikhail became discouraged. And all the other young men became discouraged. For they had not learned to live through discouragement. They had not learned the words of the great poet Maya Angelou, who said, "Every storm runs out of rain." Every storm runs out of rain. Everything that has a beginning has an ending. They had not yet learned. They had not learned the timing element of life. And so the little yogi came back and taught again and again and again, and lifted them with his yoga city, his meditation, his enthusiasm, his prayers, his teaching. He lifted himself and he lifted them. That's what you and I are here for. To lift ourselves, to learn what we need to do, the timing, the right way, to call upon life to help us, but to not incapacitate ourselves, to not cripple ourselves by refusing to do that which is ours to be done, by trying to do that which belongs to another. And so we must not be like Joanna, and we must not be like Mikhail, but we must become like the little yogi, turning inward, ascending upward, recognizing what needs to be done. My neighbor has built 3 large gardens this year for his children, and they're planting in the gardens. It's a little early to plant, but the children wanted to plant tomato seeds. Well, wouldn't you know it, we got a frost the other night, and right before the frost came, they were out there with a tent to put the tent over their bed, their garden bed, because they haven't done the other 2, only one. Now, the children saw the first one little tiny eensy beensy tomato, little bit of leaf peeking out, and they wanted to dig it out. And Papa had to say, no, 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 no. I want to see the tomato. Little boy said, Rocco says, I want to see the tomato. I want to see the tomato. And he has his the hoe, and he's trying to see the tomato. Dad said, no, you can go to the one we haven't planted at yet, and you can turn the dirt there. The time isn't right yet. You must let this grow. We have to have the right environment. We have to have it enough water, enough sun, enough time for this to grow. It's springtime. What are you growing this summer? We've been talking about spring the last few Sundays in our meditations. We've been talking about spring and preparing and tilling the land, your land. What have you been growing? What is it that you are trying to plant? And how do you nourish it? Now, I would say to you, perhaps the first thing to ask yourself is, what's the single most important thing that I can grow this year, this summer, this day, this moment? And right now, the answer that I would give to you, whether it is for you or not, I will offer it for us as a sangha, as a group. And that is, it is time to lift up again and to grow our capacity for compassion, to grow our capacity for acceptance and understanding, to grow our capacity for forgiveness, to grow our capacity to see and understand the laws of karma, to know that in the face of life's challenges, in the face of life's difficulties, in the face of the inhumanity that human beings perpetrate upon each other, upon the planet, upon others, other sentient life forms, that we, in the midst of all this, that we grow compassion, that we grow our self-compassion, that we grow our self-compassion, compassion for yourself first. And in the compassion for yourself, the ability to say, I'm willing. Help me so that I may gain the skills, that I may be of service and of help as it's needed for others. Now, some of you don't believe that you can make a difference. I know that, I can feel that. But you're wrong. You can. Your presence here this morning makes a difference. Your meditative prayer makes a difference. You're turning your mind, your consciousness from out there, from the criticism, from the anger, from the despair that some of you feel, turning it inward and upward and finding the goodness of life. It's not a placebo. It's not saying ignore what's happening in the world. It is saying, I can do something. I can meditate. I can turn inward. I can become wiser, and I can become kinder. And I can understand more fully, more completely, the timing mechanism of life. You know, we send a prayer, and too often, those prayers are, gimme, 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 Lord. Gimme, 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 gimme. Nah, give my sister, give my brother, give my husband, give my wife. But we want it now. It's this idea, and Kriya Nandaji used to say, God is not a cosmic bellhop. I love that expression because that's what we want. We want a cosmic bellhop. We want to say, Om, Om, I hit the button and there I am. You know? Somebody I respect a lot said to me the other day, well, I don't like everything that I have to do to get up to the high place, to get in that high meditation. I just want to get there. Well, okay. I get it. I do too. Practice. Practice, 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 practice. And in a few 100,000 breaths, you'll get there. You can always get there. It's intensity times duration. How long is it going to take you is contingent upon how much you practice and the focus with which you practice and how many times you brought with you from the past, whether it's, the past few weeks, the past few months, the past few years, the past few lifetimes. Your life is not about crippling others. It's not about controlling them. It's not about controlling your children. It's not about living their lives. It's not about asking them to live the way that you want them to live. If you happen to be a mother or a father, grandparent, it's about allowing them, teaching them to grow, to stand on their own, and to live their lives the way they choose. Coming to you, they come to you and they ask you for help. You have to decide, is this right? Is this the right thing for me to do? Not always saying, yes, 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 here's the candy bar, here's the candy bar, here's the candy bar. When this is always brought to my face, really brought close to my face. When my great niece comes, Layla, comes to visit. I really love Layla. I love all the nieces and nephews, but Layla's very special to my heart. But I have a problem. I always want to offer her too many choices, It's like, would you like this kind of juice or this kind of juice or this kind of juice? Or do you want to go here or here or here? Layla's 6 years old. No, 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 no. I should have the wisdom to say, here, if I want to give her a choice once a day, give her 2 things to choose from. Would you like peanut butter and jelly, or would you like grilled cheese? No, not 15 things. And that's hard because the mind is seeking to make the other person happy. And in a sense, I think the mind seeks to make approval, to find the approval of the other. But we need to stop. Just stop and say, no, 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 no. Now, if Layla or her mother, Danielle, who's in her mid-30s, it would be completely different. The way that I react, the way that I offer what I'm trying to do in expressing love for Danielle is different than it is for her daughter. The same is for you. The same is true for you. But we must know when it is time to step aside and stop interfering in others' lives. Now, hear me. This is going to sound like I'm talking to you out of both sides of my mouth, because I just said we need to cultivate compassion to make a difference in the world. And I'm saying to you, stop interfering in other people's lives. How can you do both? How can you do both? How can you stop interfering in other people's lives and cultivate compassion at the same time? Very simply, stopping interfering in other people's lives really means allow them to live their lives the way that they wish to do so. Now, again, I'm using the example. You don't do that with a 6-year-old, or you do it within a proper framework if you were the adult. But a 6-year-old and a 36-year-old are two different things. Very different. How you respond, how you react. And the problem is with your mind. The problem is with my mind, maybe not your mind. The problem is always wanting to fix it, or always wanting to take care of, or always wanting the approval of the other person. And the approval, the need for approval, the striving for approval is manifest by saying, I'm going to do it, 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 I'm going to do for you, do for you, do for you, do for you. No, it's not. We need to let go. We need to let go of trying to make the world in our own image. Accept it as it is and pay attention to ourselves, to your thoughts, to your meditation practice, to your life, to your cultivation of kindness and compassion. So how do you cultivate compassion? Step number 1. Stop judging. Just let go of judgment. Just stop it. Just stop it. Kriyananda used to say that. I used to say in my mind, how do you do that? How do you do that? We were having a conversation one day about something that I was disturbed about. And I said, I know that you're working on letting go of this thing we were talking about. And he says, no, Swamiji, no. You're working on letting go. I let go last month when the problem first manifested. Now see, what a wise man. But see, here it is. I'm working on letting go because and the thing that he said to me, which was so, you don't work on letting go. It's not like, you just take the hands away, take the mind away. You don't have to grab onto it. I'm holding this, well, I suppose if I'm going to let go of it, I better be sure that I have a place to put it down so it doesn't, splatter all over the place. But you let go. At some moment, you simply must let go. Just as I had to pick this thing up and at some moment, let it go. It's gone. You don't pick it up again. And that's the problem that one of the problems we have to work on. Picking up those things that we're clinging to. Pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up. You pick it up because the mind it's a habit. You go back and back and back and back and cling to it again and again and again. Let it go. But you have to replace it with something. And so today we will go through a meditation together. One that will allow you and I to go to the high place and to let go and to fill those empty spaces with compassion. But I ask you, when we're finished today, and you have a moment, go find a mirror. Just go find a mirror and look into it. Gaze in that mirror. And open your heart to that being that you see gazing back at you. Look in the mirror outside of you, and then look in the mirror of your mind and feel warmth and love and compassion to that soul who is gazing back at you. Thou art that. Om Tat Sat Om. Thou art that. You are the divine. You are life. You are not separate from life. You are a part of life. And so if you are going to cultivate and have compassion for others, first you must have compassion for this, that thou art, not moi, vous, for yourself. Moi pour moi, vous pour vous. Now, you begin by letting go of judgment. And there is always, Kriya Yoga has methods, thankfully. Probably the greatest, well, certainly one of them, you can't categorize them, but one of the most helpful is when you are beginning to judge yourself, when you are beginning to judge others, when you are becoming critical of yourself, critical of others, critical of the world, critical of others' opinions, worried about what others are thinking of you, worried about what you're thinking of others, worried about what they might do or they might not do. You know the story, you know the song. You see the thoughts rise in your mind. You're not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You're not the thoughts thinking your thoughts. You're not thoughts. So you are not compelled to act upon everything that rises in your mind. And so you observe these thoughts, you see them, you feel them, and the mind, begin the mantra. Neti, neti, neti. Neti, neti, neti. Neti, neti, neti. Neti, neti, neti. Whew. It's like you've taken a magnet, they've disappeared. The neti, neti, neti has gone away. The thoughts that you were clinging to have gone away. And so use that tool, keep that tool. Practice, 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 practice. Sit down, allow the thoughts to rise in your mind and chant, neti, neti, neti. Allow the thoughts to rise in your mind and chant, neti, neti, neti. Silently or softly aloud. And free yourself from the confinements of your mind. Some of you who are here today are working in professions where you are helping others. You may be working as a therapist, a nurse, a doctor, but some of you are here, all of you here help others, but some of you really are here in that way of service. And you're weighed down. You have been weighed down. You have seen the pain, you have seen the suffering, and you're carrying it. And it is causing you pain. Neti, neti, neti. Your clinging to their pain is not helping them. Your carrying their pain is not helping them. It makes it worse. For you've absorbed it and you're carrying it when it's not yours. Compassion does not mean to carry their pain. It means to lift with your vibration, to lift, to lift, to lift, to lift. You help them by lifting. You help them by the quality of your listening. You help them by the quality of your understanding. You help them by the quality of your non-judgmentalness and your compassion. You do not. Their karma does not belong to you. Don't take it. It's very hard, but I'm speaking to several of you today very specifically, very, very clearly. Hear me. Please do not do that to yourselves and do not do it to others. There is a lot of pain, there's no doubt. A lot of difficulties, no doubt. We help by trying to lift. We don't help by stirring and churning that psychic pot. That energy needs to be dissolved away. And this is the powers that be will help you. The divine will help you. The practices will help you to help them. And so as we go into meditation, as we move towards cultivating greater compassion and self-awareness, it takes time. It takes time and it takes practice. Now, I had been a disciple for, 30 some odd years, and I had a bad spell, and it felt like everything just wasn't working. And I went to my guru and I said, what is this? All this time I've been practicing, all this time, and now look, 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 I was like, look, And he said, with great compassion, you and me, and Shelley too. He gave me a hug. He said, just practice. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. And I will tell you, you're doing fine. You're doing well. You're doing okay. You don't have to pick up their pain to be of help. So place it where it belongs. Lift it, lift it, lift it, lift it. So that there are others, the powers that be, the divine ones can help us. Allow them to do that. And we will now move for the next part of our time together into a meditation that will help you, I hope, to find that which you can bring into your life and offer to others. Learning to ascend, learning to find, to meditate, to find wisdom, greater insight, to know that which needs to be done. It comes through meditation. So if you will turn inward, please, we're going to have the camera on the altar, and we will close our time together with a meditation. Focusing your attention at the sun center. Sit with the spine erect. Turn your head to the left with a double exhalation. Your head back to the center and begin to watch your breath. Pull the energy from the limbs of the body to the trunk of the body. From the trunk to the spinal column. From the base of the spine to the sun center. Move that energy as a golden ball of light out in front of you. Sweep around to the left, behind you, to the right. Encase your entire being in golden light. And do this 2 more times. And now see yourself ascending as high as you are able. Ascending to the highest places. In the high place, you come to a path. Enter the path. And see in front of you a beautiful meadow. Filled with the newness of spring. The birds flying. Tiny flowers peeping through the grass. Ascend upward. The path begins to enter the forest. Ascend in the forest. Hearing the birds, the water in the creek. Ascending higher and higher. Being aware of all of the beauty around you. The plants, the trees, the mosses, the rocks, the sun shining through the trees. You hear the sound of a waterfall. And entering in to a large grove, you see a pond of light, and in the distance a waterfall of light pouring into the pond. You are deep, deep within the forest, and no one but you is here. The colors fill the pond, fill the waterfall. Walking into the pool of light, you feel a great healing and quietude come upon you. Walking to the waterfall, standing beneath the waterfall of light, the colors pouring forth are perfect for you. Water of light pours upon your crown center. Filling every cell of your being with radiant light. the stickiness, the gluiness, the difficult karmas. The light touches them and they dissolve away. Light touches each piece of karma. The karma dissolves away. Inhaling the light of healing. Exhaling all of the difficulties of life. The light of healing brings you wisdom. And all of your needs filled. Breathing in the color of light, the healing light, filling every cell of your being. Slowly, you feel your body begin to ascend just a little bit above the water. Walking out from the waterfall, feel yourself filled with the light. Walking through the pond of light. In this beautiful grove, you come to a meditation place near the pond and the waterfall. The light is shining down upon you. The sunlight, the moonlight, balanced perfectly. Now in your mind's eye, bring forth an object of beauty, a form of life that to you at this moment is the most beautiful form of life. Not another human, an object, the most beautiful form of beauty at this moment is instant. Bring that form of beauty close to your mind's eye so that you might see it clearly. Breathe into the form of beauty, vivifying it with your breath. Feel the form of beauty. Smell the form of beauty. Hear the form of beauty. Taste the form of beauty. Inhaling, move the form of beauty into the sun center right above your spinal column. Feel that form of beauty begin to dissolve as a golden light down your spinal column. Spreading out from the spine to the trunk of the body. Filling the limbs of the body with the beauty. Now using the Om Shanti mantra, radiate that beauty that thou art into all sentient life. As we chant, feel that beauty radiating forth, first to those whom you love dearly. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Feel that beauty radiating forth in waves to all of those who have helped you in your lives. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. To all of your family, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. To all of your friends, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And to all of those souls who you are not very fond of, perhaps you might dislike them for some reason or another, to all of them, radiate forth that beauty. Whether you know them or not know them, radiate forth the beauty. Whether you care for them or not care for them, radiate forth that beauty. Allow your heart to open, to feel compassion, to become one with life, radiating forth that beauty to all beings. We will chant the Om Shanti mantra 3 times. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Breathe in the beauty that thou art and radiate that beauty to all life. When you are ready, return your attention to your own meditative place, or if you prefer, stay and meditate a while longer. I thank you for your blessings. I thank you for the blessing of your presence, for your meditative energy, for all that you bring to these Sunday meditations. Your presence makes a difference to us. Your presence makes a difference to the group. Namaste. Namaskar. And let me remind you, this week, Tuesday, we have a very special day. The planet Jupiter by transit is coming up to kiss, if you will, in conjunction with the planet Neptune in the zodiacal sign of Pisces. And this is a very rare occurrence in the zodiacal sign. It happened last 450 some odd years ago. Meditate, meditate, meditate. Use the day, use the time. Meditate, meditate, meditate. Namaste. And again, thank you. Thank you for your presence. Shanti.